Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a good Sunday so far. Ah, it is very bright today here, so hopefully y'all can see me okay, and there's not too much glare. Today we're gonna pick up our Ratatouille thing again, our xargs, interactive xargs. And what I want to focus on today, because I would like for this to be, I'm not convinced it will be, but I would like for this to be the last stream we do on this project. And then next week, we can do something else. What I would like to do today is figure out some testing, because I haven't tried the testing with Ratatouille yet. It looks pretty nice. And then and then we can kind of file off some of the rough edges. So I think some of the things we might do is delete some features. We might make it just interactive, and then we can what am I trying to say? We can figure out what we're going to do next, what project we're going to do next. So I'm very much interested in next looking at some Gleam. If you all have not heard of Gleam, it is a functional programming language, and it's very much inspired by ML, but it's quite a bit simpler. And I think the neat thing about it is that it compiles both for the Beam, the Erlang virtual machine, but also for JavaScript. So one of the cool things that exists for Gleam is a front-end framework that looks a lot like Elm. So it's a really neat language. I've been reading about it. I've done a few like tiny, Hello World like projects with it, and maybe we can do something with that. So I'll be thinking about that over the next week. Maybe we'll just kick it off with something new next week. But let's get back to Ratatouille and Rust. So let me switch over here. So we're working on this arrgs, and where we were last time is that we've got our, in fact I can probably go back in my history and see what we did. Yeah, so we have kind of a stub of a program that feeds the inputs, because for the life of me I can't figure out how, if we are sending standard input. Hi Mitch. Oh, I can fix that right now. Audio is extremely quiet. Thanks, Mitch. Let me turn it way up. How's that? Is that better? Yeah. All right. Let me see if there's any system settings I can fix. I can bump this up. How's that? Is that better? Okay. We'll go with that for now. Let me know if that's too much, or if you're getting overdrive sound or something. Could also be that I'm just talking quietly. But glad to see you on the stream. Anyway, so we have this subprogram that we're spawning ourselves as an example. And then we pick our output program. Yeah, okay. Maybe it's just that my overall volume is less, and I'm not amping it up that much. Okay, let's try bumping up the mic. Is that getting any better, Mitch? Okay. Let's see. Anyway, so our subprogram, and then we pick what our output program is, like what we're going to pass those arguments to, and we're just using cat. So if we run that, of course we have our scrolling. We have switching between them. You can hit escape to exit. You can hit, what did we do? Tab? F? No, what did we do? There was a key that made it go full screen. Let's see what we did. Okay, and we could turn on and off wrapping. Oh, slash was full screen. Yeah, okay. Let's run that. So if we hit slash, we get the whole thing. Okay, page up. Now, we're not adequately showing which one is which. So there's sort of maybe a little bit of polish that we can do there. And also when we're in that expanded view, we don't need to highlight the border. In fact, we may not need to do that at all. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, just start talking with caps lock on. That'll do it. Okay, so let's. I wanted to look at, and I had pulled up. Well, we'll just go back to it. Let's talk tests, and they recommend on the Ratatouille website that you use snapshot testing, which makes a lot of sense. I've used that in testing components for a like client-side application before. So and this is very similar style of testing. There are there are downsides to snapshot testing in that it feels a little bit like cheating sometimes. But let's go through their steps here, and maybe we can get some tests on our interactive version. Yeah, so we'll do cargo install, cargo insta like Instagram or something. Yeah, Mitch, also one thing that I've changed since, I guess you came last week, since previous times is I've put the microphone on a mount above my monitor. I used to have it on a boom arm and had it like right next to my face. So it's going to naturally be a little bit quieter. Okay, so we've got Cargo Insta installed, and let's add it to the project. And since it's a dev dependency, we add it like so. Is there any other features we need necessarily? No. All right. So now the challenge is we need to make we need to set up and some widgets to test and render them and see what we get. So there's going to be a bit of, we need to think really carefully about how to set up our tests so that they test the things that we care about, and aren't just like going through the motions, right? So interestingly, like they're saying here, it'll create this snapshots, and then it's going to have some ANSI escape codes and so forth. Okay, so we can't assert with color. That's fine. And then you review changes by Cargo Insta Review. Okay. Right. Consistent terminal size to ensure reproducible results. That's a good idea. Okay. So let's go ahead and make our first test. So I always like to put them at the bottom of the file that I care about. And let's just use superstar. Use use insta assert snapshot. Okay. And Ratatouille backend, test backend, and Ratatouille terminal. Okay, so we need to make a test. And I think that it would be good to test. We have a lot of states in the process widget. So yeah, let's test the different states of that. Okay, so let's say process widget collapsed is a test that we want to make. And let's outline some others that we want to do. So we want to do process widget open or selected. We'll call that. Maybe we'll rename this to unselected. And then we want to do wrapping. And let's do scrolled. And then we want to do one more, I think, which is expanded. And you know, these are not going to make a lot of sense at first because we're just taking a snapshot of the output that will be rendered by the current version. So it's better at like testing changes than testing, oh, I expect this particular thing to be at this spot. Like the acceptance of this test, it really comes down to, did you look at the snapshot and go, is this okay, right? So in a way, it feels a bit hollow, at least with the way that I'm used to testing other projects. But this is how this stuff goes with component type tests when you're testing a UI component, because you can't, in some senses, you can't make strong assertions about the output. Like if you've ever done view tests in a web framework, you kind of feel like, am I really testing something important or not? And I think that snapshot tests give you the opportunity to find regressions, but not necessarily always correctness, if that makes sense. Okay, enough of my soapbox. Let's do our first test. So we're going to kind of follow this, and then I think probably since we're doing 5 tests here for the process widget, and then we'll probably do some for the overall application. I'm gonna do some copy pasta at the beginning, and then we will expand it later and maybe make some helper functions to pull out the shared stuff. Okay, so all right, we're gonna do something like this. Okay, so we need to have an unselected process widget, and I think I'm going to split right so we can see a different part of the file. Let's jump up to, so we need a process. Because our process widget borrows that. So, yeah. So we're gonna have to make a process that has args as default. We don't care what's in there. Actually, we should care. Let's just make a vec and call it contains 1, 2 string. Okay. Fill that out. Okay, so output lines, and that's a vec. Let's just do 2 string b, 2 string, and so forth. And I think I need to put line returns in them. I don't recall. Okay, and the status we're going to say is some process status success. Okay, and handle, we don't care. We'll just say none. Okay, and then the widget is going to be a process widget, and we're going to have process is we're going to borrow that. Scroll position, so this is what we're kind of using to say whether it is the active one, so we'll say none, and wrap is false. Okay, so now that we've got a widget and we're borrowing the process into it, now we can do our little tests. So let's make a terminal. Test backend. And let's say 80/40. Like, I don't know that it matters. Unwrap. Okay, and then we'll go terminal.draw, and that takes a frame in its closure, frame.render widget. So this is really similar to what we were doing above. And we will borrow widget, and then we'll say frame.area. And that requires an unwrap. Remember, in tests, you always want to panic, because if you did something wrong, then it'll fail on the first line that you did something wrong. Okay, and then we'll do assert snapshot. And we'll do terminal.backend. Okay, so we've got our first test here. So let's run, let's run cargo test. And on the first time, they say it's going to create a snapshot. Okay. So this is kind of what we expect, right? I don't remember what this number is about. Oh, that's 2 lines, right? That's how many lines of output there is. And we got the bar like we expect. And then there's, 39 more lines of emptiness because this is not selected. I would love, see, what does this backend return? Okay, it gets the test backend. And then the test backend, what can we do? Let's see what's available on that. Okay, we can get its buffer. The content has a vec of cells, okay. Okay. Okay, so I don't think that there's anything specific out of there, but let's look at what was created. So it made a snapshots directory. And if we look at that file, it's saying, you know, here's the file it came from, the assertion line, terminal, the expression is terminal backend, and that's what we got. So that's kind of what I expected. It's interesting. It's YAML and not JSON like other frameworks I've worked with, but that's okay. I'm good with that. Okay, so now we can, if we're satisfied with that, which I think we are, we know that it has 2 lines of output and there's nothing displayed. It's not selected, right? So let's go and write some more tests. And I think that what we're going to get is pretty quickly we're going to find we want to create a helper method. So I might just go ahead and make that. And say, let's say process widget fixture. And let's make a the question is, do we make a struct or do we just return tuples? I think we can just return tuples. Actually, the main thing I want to do here is test terminal. And that's going to return a terminal. And that's just this. Okay. Yeah. And let's say default process, and just have it return this. Okay, and then we can tweak this as we go. Yeah, this returns a process. Okay, and then the widget, I think this is fine to leave. I think the main thing here is we want the terminal to be consistent across the different tests so we don't mess up our snapshots with a typo. And then if we go to assert anything else, that we get the same stuff. Here, I want to pull this out. We want to get at least 5 lines. This is going to break our snapshot. Okay, we're going to go iter map. Let's say format. Collect. Okay, so that's just creating, you know, a bunch of lines because we want to have more than the default 5-line display as part of our thing. So now we're going to break the snapshot, right? So it says 8 now, right? And the line changed, of course. So one thing that's not clear to me about, so we do cargo insta review and we can accept the snapshot. So let's do that. Cargo, let's do that. and then we can accept it. So if we look at snapshots now, this no longer has .new on it. Cool. Okay, so let's do something similar here. So I'm going to copy this, and we're going to pick, so it is going to be selected this time, so it's going to have, let's just say 0, 0 as a scroll position in it. And that, remember, is YX, not XY. That's good to know. So, so there we have it selected. Let's call cargo test again. That's gonna be like it failed. So now you can see we've got a bunch of lines. Now, the interesting thing here is that it wasn't constrained to 5 lines. That's handled at a higher level. So this is, I think this is fine. Let's cargo insta review and accept it. Okay, so now we need to do something with wrapping, and this actually we didn't handle up here. We might need to update this. So let's see, there's like, let's see what's in standard editor. There's some base iterators that are just functions. Yeah, so we could repeat n. To get a long line. The other option is that we could, maybe we'll do this. Let's do read to string. We're going to do read to string of lorem ipsum.text, which is basically what we're doing up above, you know, with our default thing. And we need to unwrap that. We're going to split with new lines and collect. Okay, and then we're going to go, let's go ahead and create this process, and we're going to have to say let mute process here. Process.output lines is that. Let's see what's wrong here. We can do lines. There we go. Okay. Sorry, that was a little bit janky. Okay, so then we're going to do, you know, same business here, right? The repetition is getting to be a little bit like suspect, I think. we might want to factor that out. But here we go. Let's run our tests again. Now, we didn't change anything, so let's call this wrapping off, and then let's duplicate this and say wrapping on, because they're going to have different displays, right? But they have the same input that we care about that like spills over. And we want to make sure that they display differently. One thing I'm not clear about is if we can do multiple snapshots from the same test. Okay, but let's run this. Okay, and then we can see here, you know, we've got, even those first few lines are longer than 80 characters, so they are wrapping. And that's wrapping off. Okay, that looks good. Okay, this is, yep. Here, let's just expand. One thing I could do potentially is decrease the size of the terminal so we don't have as many lines to review. That's something to do, potentially. Okay, 2 of 3, and here's the wrapping off, and here's the wrapping on. Those all look good, except that we renamed that test, so we can remove that snapshot, like, because there is no test there anymore. We renamed it. Okay, so now let's test scrolling, and I think that what we'll do is we will use this same stuff. And this is calling to me to say two things. One is that we can use include stir instead of reading this, and that we should probably put this not in the root directory. And then we can factor this out into a new function. So we could say, oh, okay, up here. So we have default process, process with long lines, and we can copy pasta that stuff so that we don't have to do it every single time. Okay, so now okay. Right, okay. So now for scrolling. So what we can do is do this. We know that in order to scroll, it has to be selected. So let's pick like line 5. And wrapping true will cause it to be pushed down a bit as well. So let's do that. And you can see we don't start it with lorem ipsum up at the top, which is good. Excuse me. Okay, and then expanded. The interesting thing here, let's do this, is I don't think that the process widget cares about being expanded or not. Because it already kind of is in this, so we could potentially delete this test. Because this is a property of the application, not the process widget. Yeah, let's have a look. First of all, let's save. And let's go up to, oh right, the layout constraint. But we're only calling this layout constraint from the app, right? So we don't care about it here. Yeah, there's no... it's not concerned at all with expansion. So let's remove this test. Let's do, maybe what we'll do here rather than this is we will make a test that is just an expanded view. So let's think about the different states of what the app can be in. So we are rendering it, so it cares about expansion, right? So we should have a test where app.expanded is false and one where it is true. We should test various kinds of selections, so we should have more than one process. And yeah, so we're going to tweak the internals of this, right? Where are we using this max lines thing? Oh, right, we're setting it so that we can, where is this? So we can set the scroll position. Okay. That really only has to do with interactions with the keyboard, so I don't think that we're going to be that concerned with that. Although what we should probably do in our tests for the app is do exactly this. And in fact, what I might do is put this inside here. Then we just call self.draw. Let's go ahead and do that because that will be easier to replicate. Yep. Okay. Let's make some tests. So we're gonna say collapsed view. We'll call it, maybe we'll call it default view. Default, if I can type, app view. And then we're gonna do expanded app view. And we need perhaps different selections. So we'll say selected. So the default would be selected last. Let's say selected middle process. Default. I want to give these better names. So this is like selected last process, right? And then we'll do, I think that the question in my mind are, what are the important parts of what is being passed down here? That, like, what are the branches in here? Obviously the expanded is the big one. You know, are we rendering just one process, or are we rendering all of them? Which one is selected? Scroll position being passed through is important. So so let's, here, we can close that out now. So let's get scrolled. I don't know. Let's pick the first process and then say scrolled. So we're gonna have to make a helper, and I may just go ahead and do it right now, which is going to be, let's make a default app, and it already implements default. So we can do something like, so process is exit is always going to be false. What is selected? Selected is an index. So the default is we'll pick, maybe we'll make a bunch of processes up here, and we'll pick processes.len -1. Scroll position, I think we'll default to 0, 0. Wrap will default to false, expanded to false. Max lines we know is going to be 40. And then keys, we don't care about that right now because that's just for debugging information. We'll get rid of that in a bit. So that can be default. Exit, what's wrong with that? Why is that unreachable? Oh, it's a vector. Okay. Why don't we just say default? Forgot it was a vector. Okay. And then we'll say processes there. Okay. We'll say let selected is that. It's complaining about moving. So there we go. Okay, so now we need to make some processes, and I think that I would like to mix, maybe do like, I don't know, 5 or 6 alternating between these two. So we were just looking at the iter module. Okay, so we could do like, I'm going to do it the dumb way. Okay, so we're going to do we'll repeat n, and we're going to say and process with long lines. And then we're going to do like 3 of those. And then we're going to flat. See, that returns an iterator. Yep. Flatten. We do flatten. Right, so that returns an iterator. And collect. Okay, what's wrong there? But it's because process doesn't implement clone, so we need to do like repeat with takes a function. And then it does not take, right, so then we need like take 3. So again, I'm just trying to, okay, this needs to be a vec of process. I'm just trying to cut down on having to construct these things too much manually. Maybe this isn't great. But here, this will give us 6 processes, alternating between the one that just has like 8 lines of single letters each, and then one that is the process with long lines. So that'll give us 6, and then it's going to pick the last one as the selected one. And then we're off to the races. So this is the default. So let's do app is default app. And then we will do like so. And we'll draw app.draw, unwrap. Actually, it doesn't like that. Frame. That's fine. And I think that because that is, no, that borrows self. How is it not complaining about this? Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah. All right, well, I'm going to move that back. And it needs to go in here. Unfortunate. I could have changed this signature to mute. Then we would have to go down in the tests and make that locally mutable. Okay, and then we're going to do assert snapshot, just like we did above. All right, let's run cargo test. Okay, and now we're getting, so we have a new result. Yeah, so no, it only got 5 lines. We've got alternating processes with different outputs, and it's not wrapping. Okay, so we should test wrapping as well. And what's wrong with this one? Let's do review. Why is that a new result? Okay, I guess we just didn't review it already. Accept, and this one is accept. Okay, so let's do basically this, but we'll do mute and we'll say app dot expanded true. Okay, so now we've got a new result. No, we still got the title line here, and then we've got only one process. Okay, that looks correct. Okay, let's set the selected value to like something in the middle, which would be like index 3, since we have 6. Let's run cargo test. Okay, it failed. And we'll do review. So selected is 3, so 0, 1, 2, 3, and those are the ones we see the lines for. Makes sense? Okay, we can accept that. Okay, and then we were going to select the first process and scroll it. So let's copy this a little bit. We're going to select 0, and then we're going to do scroll position. Let's go down 4 lines. Scroll position is that. And let's just go straight to the review. Okay, so you can see that's what we expect. There should be only 4 lines shown, and we are selected 0. Cool. All right, there's potentially one more thing that I would like to test, or 2 more things, and that's the interaction of wrapping with. So let's copy this one and modify with wrap, and we'll say wrap is true. Let's just do it like that from now on because I want to immediately review. Okay, so we do see the lines wrapping around. That makes sense. And then we're going to do expanded with wrap. And this is just like covering some combinatorics in our design. Okay, so now we've got a single one selected and it's wrapping. Okay, I think this is good. Let's make a quick commit. And we're gonna add everything because we're gonna need this file now. Okay, so we've got the snapshots. We got the tests. We've updated cargo to add insta. We've got our lorem ipsum text as our example. I think that's a good place to commit. And we're session 6, insta snapshot tests of basic functionality. Okay, so now we got about an hour left. I want to do some cleanup, and I think that we can start in this file. And what we'll have to do, unfortunately, probably on every turn, is review the snapshots again. So we'll probably have to come back into here and change this. But I want to go. We were using the first line of the app as status. And what I would like to do is change this so that we're not showing status, but like let's show help, right? So I think that what we'll do here is, and I think there was an example in the Ratatouille docs. Yeah, so they're doing something like this. That's kind of what I want to do in that first line. And so really we can make this a static string. Yep. All right, let's do, let's say help sister. Okay, and then I'm going to remove all of this business and just say help. And we'll do it down here too. Now we need to do this. So I'm going to split my screen again, and I want to look up at the key combos because that's going to tell us what we need to do. So probably put quit last. The other thing that we could potentially do here is, and this we won't be able to test this really, but is like highlight different sections of the text with, you know, is this selected or not? Okay. So let's, where's my, I always accidentally pop it up. There we go. Haha. All right. So I want to get arrows. The thing is they need to be ANSI characters. So let's see. I don't know if we can. Here, let's bump it up to large because my aging eyes, and for the sake of the stream. The problem with it being like using Unicode is I'm a little bit concerned. How about we copy what they have here and we modify it. So left and right don't do anything for us. So we can delete that. So we have up is, and actually I want to do up down is scroll, and we'll say page up, page down is previous is previous next, Q or escape, and we'll put an equals in there. I don't know that that's strictly necessary, but Q or escape is quit. And we want to do, what else do we have? Oh, we do have left and right. Yeah. Let me copy those back out. So we have wrapping. So up, down, left, right, home, end are all about scrolling. Page up, down is previous, next. W is wrap. Key or escape is quit. And then we had slash. Oh, that's going to be hard because I've used slash. Why don't I use commas instead of slash? Because we didn't bind comma to anything. And then we want slash. We'll add spaces to this, or maybe like vertical bars or something to separate it. Slash is focus. And then Q and escape are quit. All right, so I think that this is, let's put 2 spaces, double bar, 2 spaces. I don't know. The problem of making this too verbose is that let's say select. W equals wrap. If we make it too verbose, it's going to be take up too much space. Which would be bad for narrow terminals. Okay, so let's run this again and see what it outputs. Yeah. That's not too bad. Why don't I say expand? The other thing is I could just do spaces here instead of comma. It'd be a little bit less noisy. The challenge of doing spaces is that people will think you have to type all of them potentially. I don't know. What do you all think? If you're here, drop your thoughts in the chat about how I should format this. The other thing, like I said, is it would be nice to colorize some of this. And then potentially when wrapping is on, like make that bold. That would require a bit more complicated thing and maybe its own widget. That might be okay to make its own widget. But at the very least, we have help here rather than, you know, our debug output. The other cool thing that we could do here is even on the scroll, we could say like if you're at the top, you know, home and up could be not highlighted, down and end would be highlighted, and vice versa if you're at the end. And then if wrap is turned on, both left and right could be, grayed out, because you don't really scroll when you're in wrap mode. Little enhancements we could make later. Okay. So we're going to have to run cargo test. Oh, cargo test. And all those snapshots are going to fail. Cargo insta review. I think that we will, accept that, accept that, accept that, accept that, accept that, accept that. Okay. Now that we're not using it for debug, we can remove the keys. So and then when we're in handle key event, we can get rid of that because we don't care about it anymore. And down here, where did our test go? It's probably going to complain. Yeah, so the interesting thing here is I think that we can just change the things we care about and go default, expand, like so. Yeah. Okay. Let's run our test again. Make sure we didn't break anything. Okay, so we don't need that import anymore. And then we can get rid of our little template. So this is going to be replace debug header with help text. Okay. And then I think what we need to do is pop up a layer to finish this up. And there's some things that we should hopefully be able to try up there to do. I want to make the command line flags make more sense. One thing we definitely need to do is, because I wasn't able to successfully get input from the TTY if we're piping standard in for whatever reason, it doesn't like taking input directly from the terminal, and it could be a Mac thing. I don't know, but it's sort of weird. So we need to get rid of this simulation thing and actually have it take an input program. So we need to rethink a lot of this. We have our exec thing that was really well refactored by Ofer. And he made, a sequential one and a parallel one. And the interactive one we did basically just, it's always going to be parallel. And I'm kind of feeling like we're at the point where the mode matters less. We should always do interactive. And then so we need to give this options, this startup options struct some love. It uses clap parser here. The other thing is that we're splitting the program args. There's, I want to look at the clap documentation. Because there was a way to say that something has to have a minimum length. And there's also a bit with having dash dash, which is typically used to break between options and like a subcommand. And I would like to make use of that because we're going to possibly have a situation where we need to specify the entire subcommand. So like, what is the input program? And that's going to be multiple things. And then we needed a way to tell the argument parser, hey, I've stopped giving you things for this. And the rest of it is the other options that, or the rest of it is not the other options, but the subcommand I want to run for the output. So let's look at their documentation here. Documentation. Let's look at the cookbook, or rather derive. We're not interested in commands. Arg group. What's an arg group? Family of related arguments. Okay, so numargs is something that we should do. Let's start with this. Well, first of all, we're going to get rid of mode. And we're going to get rid of, so we're going to get rid of this stuff. We don't care about mode anymore. We're just going to run, right? And then we don't need to have the quick return. We could just do that. Okay, so we need to turn off the simulation. That needs to be something else. So let's comment that out, which is going to break things over here. So yeah. Okay, we definitely want this. This needs to kind of change. And I think that what we'll do, we're going to say input. It's going to be back a string. And then we'll say this is input program to run. And then we're going to rename this say output program to run, inputs read from the input program are added to the end of the given arguments. Okay, so this is going to change to fec of string, and then we're going to do arg and numargs. There needs to be at least one, right? Okay, and get rid of all that. So this is going to fail. But what we can do instead, let's go ahead and refactor this. I don't know if these flags are correct. Like, I don't know how we'll actually make this happen. But we can be ready for it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So let's get rid of this branch because we don't care about that anymore. Okay, and now we're going to do let's do the input program is going to be the args. Here we're going to do options.input 0, and here we'll do options.input 1 ... Oops, options. Okay. It's not an iterator. Can we borrow? Does that make an iterator? Yeah. Okay. Let's see what else is broken real quick. Okay, so we need to go here. Actually, we're just gonna get rid of exec.rs. We don't care about that file anymore. Sorry for all your hard work. Source exec. And then, which means we can get rid of this. And that might be used over there. And we don't need that. Okay. That cut down on a lot of errors. So now we need to go over here. And the same business we did when spawning. Oh, it's program. Sorry. Okay, and then the only other thing here, yeah, close that, is that I think that we need, I think it's required, is the flag we put on there. Arg attributes. I don't think arg like required is a thing here. Okay. The other possibility is that we might need to, and this is not so bad, honestly, but we might need to use the builder syntax and construct this ourselves. But let's see. Let's make sure that we can build. Okay. I'm gonna pass -h so I get the help. Yeah. So the problem is, I think that it's going to go dash. It's going to require us to do -i -i -i. But let's try -i. Let's see positionals. We might need, let me look at the contents of this again. And not subcommands or defaults. Let's try that. I want to, yeah, so then it displays input. The problem is I want to have the dash show up there. We might need to look into driving the parser ourselves. The main thing I'm worried about is, and I guess we'll find out. Here, let's just run it and say input, and say echo lorem ipsum dot text, and this is the part that I don't. Well, I guess we can find out. Okay, that did not go well. So oh, my terminal's screwed now. We're gonna have to make a new one. Yeah, I think what happened there is it was interesting. We got this, but then it didn't. Here. Okay, that worked. Interesting. Except our terminal is messed up again. I wonder if we do like this. Okay, so that's interesting. That worked as expected because we repeated the dash I, right? But I would rather not do that. I'm feeling like we might have to drive. Yeah, we might have to drive the parsing ourselves. All right. Well, let's look at the builder way. And I think I was looking at this earlier. Maybe we were clicking through while I was on stream. I'm not sure. But there's this arg group thing. And we might be able to use this. Nope, that's not it. Because it feels like what we want is kind of a... If we look at this, what we want is a state machine such that we consume, once we see the input flag, either the long one or the short one, we go into a state where we just read until we hit the dash dash. And that's the part that I think wasn't working correctly. Or wasn't working how I would intend it to work. So this derive macro might not be what we want. And let's see if we can do find something about Rust clap. Dash dash. I'll just try that. Yeah, that's not going to be helpful. I do remember seeing something in here where there was it innately understands that, but it was not obvious to me where that is. So maybe what we'll do is we could start with this, perhaps, and see what we get. we don't want subcommands. That's sort of for like nesting things. Like if you were making the Docker CLI, for example, you would use subcommands. Okay. Yeah, get matches. Lots of warnings on those methods. Print help. Okay. So here's this. Disables the automatic delimiting of values after dash dash. So there's this trailing var arg. This is a var arg, and everything that follows should be captured by it, as if the user had used a dash dash. That's kind of what we want. I wonder if we can add that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that that's actually a thing that's valid on that annotation. Except it requires like so. Let's see if that works. The other thing that we can put in here is, and maybe it's just, say last. I don't know if that's how you do that. That's interesting. Required is true. We're starting to get there. I think that what I might do is let's try trailing var arg. I don't think this is going to work. It's going to be like, yo, you have incorrect definition here. Yeah, it only complied to the last positional. So the other possibility here is that we don't do a flag on this. We just say we do this. And it's just positional. Okay, well, don't use last then. Okay, only one positional arguments with numargs1 is allowed per command, unless the second one also has last true. So instead of like trailing var arg, we just do last true. Maybe this gets us what we want. Okay, yeah. So then you and arguments to run. That's what we want. Cool. So the options have to come before that input program, and then it's dash dash, and then the output program. Output program here. Output program and its arguments. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, and I think, we've just been tweaking the command line arguments here. We haven't really been changing the behavior of the program. So now, let's go back and do like this. And that should work as we expect. Yep. And it wraps, and we can expand, collapse. Cool. Okay, we've got about 20 minutes left on the planned stream. Let's first of all commit this cleanup, and then maybe within the last 20 minutes we can do some of the tweaks to the help. Like I mentioned, we can make it its own component, which would be cool. Okay, so let's add the updated stuff. Let's first run the tests, make sure that we didn't break anything in the interactive file. Okay, cool. And this is still session 6, and we're going to say the fix command line arguments to be more sensible. There's a weakness to this potential format in that you get the possibility that you cannot put that in this, and that's something I don't know how we could fix, at least not easily. Like you'd have to have the ability to reach into that parsing and handle it very like in a like really stateful fashion, and I don't know that we want to do that. Okay, so yeah, let's make the help. So now what we do here, let's see what we got. How is this laid out? We're implementing widget. So after our impl for widget here, we can do let's make a struct help. And what do we want in it? We want to know we want to know whether wrapping is turned on. We want to know whether expanded is turned on. We want to know the whether, like, which one is selected, and then also the number of processes or process count. Okay, so we can compare those two. And then we want to know the scroll position. It's going to be this thing again. And then we want to know the number of lines line count. Okay, so I'm being very verbose here, but basically what I want to be able to do, let's say that's a U16, just for simplicity of comparison, is we want to render these different sections of the help in different colors and possibly different text based on what the contents of the app is. So the other thing that we could do here is maybe just have it borrow from app, but let's make a new function, and this is going to take app is borrow app and self. So let's do self and fill that out. Okay, so this is just going to be app.wrap. This is going to be app.expanded. Selected is going to be app.selected. You know, this is, oops. Process count is going to be app.processes.len. Scroll position is going to be app.scrollPosition. And here, yeah, so let's do app.processes, app.selected, .outputLines.len. Okay, so we're just capturing some statistics in here, and then we can about what the state of the app is. Oh yeah, as U16, we're just gonna assume that you can't have more than 64K lines. Okay, so then we'll impl a widget for help. All right. And this is really just what we're going to do is make a paragraph. We're going to have some lines of text, or not lines of text, but spans. So and highlight them differently. So what do we want to do? First, let's copy. I'll just move this down so we can see it. This is the template of what we want to do. So we want to have some text spans. We're done with clap. Let's go back to Ratatouille. Styling text is what we care about. So we can create styled spans. Okay. And essentially what we want to do is render a paragraph into the buffer with that rectangle. So ultimately we're going to do something like this, right? And this is area. So we'll start with that. Okay, well, we just pass it directly then. And then we will, we need to construct some spans. Okay, so I think it looks like we'll make a line. And line does into text. Do spans implement into text? See, from span for text. Yeah, so we can, I think text has a like from iter. Yeah, from iterator where, yeah, where t is into line. Okay. And from vec line. So I think that probably what we want is we'll create spans and then we'll convert it into a line, and that can be passed to paragraph. Okay, line from creates a line from a vec of spans, which is what we'll do. Okay, so we'll start with, let's see, this is contents. We'll make a vec. And this is kind of dumb. I can probably do it statically, yada yada. But we're going to say we need to think about what are the conditions under which this, you know, the left should be able to be highlighted. Okay, so let's go back to span. Text, yada yada. Okay, span, content, and style. Okay, so it implements the styled trait, which means we could just call these things on it. Okay. So we can say, I don't know if we want span raw. I guess what we should probably do is go maybe we make a style new. Yeah. Where were we? Okay, we'll say let enabled is style new dot they're bold, right? Let disabled style new, and maybe we say white, right? Dot bold. Not bold. Okay. Does style implement copy? I don't think so. So we'll probably just have to clone it. Okay, so what we want to do is if left is enabled, we want to say span styled, and we're going to use that. We'll put the space in there for good measure. Enabled. Yeah, let's just clone it. Keep cloning it. The thing is, so if we want, so if self dot wrap or self dot scroll position dot 0. Okay, hold on. So what are the conditions that left should be valid? We'll hopefully get through this in the next 10 minutes, but left should be enabled if wrapping is turned off, or wrapping is turned off and scroll position is not, of the X is not 0, right? So if wrapping is turned off and self.scrollPosition.1 not equals 0, then we want to do enabled.clone, else we do disabled.clone. We could make a little function that does this. Yeah, let's do a little function, and then we don't have to keep these around. So let's say enabled when, or style enabled when, and we'll take b as bool, and we say if b, then we do that, else that. Okay, and then we can get rid of that, and we can say style enabled when, and pass it that. That makes it a little bit, except it helps if I type it right. Okay, so interestingly, we could probably, since I've made that really short, we can probably just construct this directly rather than building the stuff individually. Okay, and then we'll do line from contents. Okay, so let's run this, and we're gonna get. Oh, the problem is we don't actually render the help in here. So let's do help new. And we're going to pass self, and then we'll call render. And then let's do the same down here. Oh, we don't need to, because that's already borrowed. Cool. Length is 0, but the index is 0. Index out of bounds. Oh, okay. So like when there's no processes, yeah, that's an issue. I didn't consider. Okay, so we'll do get, which returns an option. And we'll map p.outputlines.len is u16 unwrap or default. Okay, then that won't panic. Okay, so interestingly, I'm going right. So the scroll position should be, let's change this to yellow. It did not change. Oh, we need to make sure self.wrap is false. Yeah, sorry. A little logic problem there. Okay, so note that that highlighted and you can go left. Okay, so let's change that back to white, which is what I wanted originally. Okay, so now we can probably, with the time remaining, and I may go over, we can replicate the other bits of this that we care about. So let's do the right arrow, and honestly, this one, I don't know that we have a bounded thing. So let's just say right is enabled when wrapping is off. Yeah. I don't know that we have a good way around that. So then okay. I kind of need to let's just put this in a comment so it's not being used. We'll turn off the compiler warning anyway. And let's just put it in here so we can see it and easily copy from it. Okay, so we need up. And that is going to be so you can scroll up when the scroll position is greater than 0. You can scroll down this is not exactly true. I think that when wrapping is turned on, you know, that's not exactly accurate. Interestingly, this is starting to feel like, oh, these are little components, right? But that might be too fine-grained. Okay, so now we have home, and it has the same thing as scroll up, right? And then end has the same thing as down. Let's copy that. And this is end. So this has the same thing as down. And we could name those style variables. We could say like, or name the inputs here and say can scroll left, can scroll down, so forth, to reduce the duplication. Let's see. So interestingly, the white is not coming out white, and I think that let's go ahead and make it Let's make it green. I think, no, we used green there, but the problem is it's really subtle. Like, and I don't even know if you can see this on the stream, but that left is not bold and that right is bold. And that's really hard to tell. So let's make it yellow. Okay, so now you can see get to end. So that down and end is not exactly right. So let's see about that logic. Oh. And we have some bugs there too. Had some negatives where we didn't need it. Okay, so go down. Yeah, I think the problem here, like the home and end is fine. Like if you turn wrapping on and you only get the vertical, which is what we hope. If you hit end though, yeah. Honestly, this is the best we can do on that. I don't care. That's still pretty great that we got that much functionality in very little. Okay, so now let's talk about page up and page down. So let's go ahead and make the span. Let's just do raw. And we're going to say equals scroll, and so that'll be our divider. So let's do one for styled. We're going to do page up. And this is going to be style enabled. Enabled when. So if we self.selected. So page up means you can go, so if it's greater than 0. Page down means you select a different one. And here's an inconsistency I notice. Well, I guess, you know, that's still like writing out down and up. Up is just shorter than page than down. So I guess that's okay. So self.selected greater than 0. Oh. Okay, what's wrong here? Oh, we need a comma. Okay. So what I'm saying here is if the selected is less than the total number of processes, or it's less than the index of the last one, right? Then we can scroll down, or we can select a different one. Okay, and then we're going to do a span raw on select. Okay, let's see how that looks. And there's only one, so let's do multiple. Let's do 3. Okay, so we can select another one, and that's nicely reactive. Good stuff. At some point, we could probably remove the help as far as the, yeah, there's extra spacing in there. We could remove the help for that and just put the bars between it, and when you hit them, it'll become, uh-oh, what did I do? It'll become more obvious what they do. Yeah, pretty cool. Okay, so we got select, we need wrap, and this one, I think it should always be enabled, but what we'll do is we'll change the text here. And here we're going to say if self.wrap, oh, this is styled. That's what I did wrong. If self.wrap, we're going to say this is unwrap. Else wrap. All right, let's go down here. The other thing that we could do is maybe rather than switching that, we do this, and then we change this text. If self.wrap, and we put some kind of indicator on it, on the text here, which is like star or plus, or maybe we use a check mark. Let's do star for now. All right, let's see how that looks. Yep, that's good enough. Okay. Actually, and I take that back. What I want to do is put it over here. I just want to make it smaller so it doesn't move that much. You know what? Let's do it with a format string. we'll just do a bare space. Okay. And that kind of shows that it's on. Now, we could do, the other thing that we could do here is, we could split this up and say this has this, right? And then we do span styled. I actually like that idea better. And we don't have this format business. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. And then we just, you know, format that. Style enabled when. Self.wrap. That makes most sense. Okay, and then we'll do another raw span, which is going to be that. All right, let's try this one more time. So then wrap, you know, highlights when it's turned on. That looks good. Okay. And then we just have slash is expand. And we'll do something similar to for expanded, right? So we'll say and I kind of hate this style enabled when true, but it's reducing some garbage. And this is self.expanded. Nice. Cool. And then the last bit is we have Q or escape is quit. Okay. So honestly, it's this. And then we'll do another raw span and we'll say it's quit. And that's the end. That covers everything. Cool. Yay! This is great. Honestly, this makes me want to do more Ratatouille for stuff for work. All right, so hit expand. It highlights that. You can toggle it on and off. Wrap, you can toggle it on and off. You can select different ones. Now, there's a little bit of weirdness there in that we're not really, you know, showing how many there are total when you're in an expanded mode. So it's a little bit awkward. Yeah, the other thing that we could do in that expanded mode if we were feeling really ambitious is to change the change the number of processes shown so that you know you can see that there's one below or one's above, but we don't necessarily like render them. I don't think that like for this case where you're viewing basically the same thing repeated, I don't think that helps. Let me look at something. Okay, so here's an interesting idea. Let's get some more. So if I do stat lorem ipsum.text, what does it give me? Okay. Let's look at this command because I think that stat, what did that say? Stat-L. Okay, no, we actually want the long one. I don't know that this is gonna help, but let's do so we're gonna do dash 0 for null, and I'm gonna say find -0 target type f, and then we're going to do dash dash, and we're going to say stat dash, not dash l, let's just do stat. That's interesting. Well, let's not use null. Yeah, this is a problem. How are you supposed to parse flags to that, or pass flags to your input program if it doesn't like? I mean, I don't know that I can do this. Yeah. I could quote it, maybe? I don't know that that makes a difference. Yeah. Here. I can't escape it. Oh, and now it's hosed. Yeah. Okay, well, this is not going well. New terminal. Bye. The other thing that I could potentially do is oh, that's not going to help. I could make it a script, right? Like, but that's part of the problem. Yeah. Oh, what did I do? That is bad. That is really bad. So clearly our handling of the input process is not correct. I think that said, this is always going to be a problem. I want to run the tests. How did that, I guess we actually output the same exact things. That's cool. Okay. So the snapshots didn't change. All right. So we produced the same output for that help, but we styled it, right? And remember, it doesn't compare colors because it's just capturing strings. So maybe we're at the stopping point. It's really concerning to me, though. Let's build it in release mode. I don't know that there's going to be any difference there, but whoa, what? Find target, echo. There's a bit here where we probably need to do some more proactive checking, because that finishes really fast, right? Even if I do find target, right? Let's see what our little program is doing. Not using much memory, not using much CPU. Let's see what find is doing. Nope, that program is finished. It's not responding to keys. Interestingly, and we've got it wedged, right? Because we're in raw mode, and unless we make it panic, it's not going to unwind raw mode. So I'm actually wondering here if we ever did the when we do handle exit, event. Yeah, we join. Except that's the output processes, not the input. Let's see. And this panics if it can't spawn it. So Yeah, there are lots of places here where we should be panicking if there's a problem that happens. So I don't know. Um, hmm. All right. Well, let's see if this still works with echo, because like I'm kind of wondering if it's an issue with find not behaving correctly. Okay, so this one's working fine, right? But something is going on with find, and maybe the issue is yeah, and then I've hosed it again. Okay. Well, let's look at this change that I made. Okay, so we got rid of the help thing. Actually need to remove these lines. Let's go here. Like all of this goes away. And then we removed it from down here. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we got rid of some commented out code. And we've got the interactive help with all the styles. Cool. All right. We're pushed. Again, I don't think that we're going to do this next time. I will let you all know what the next session is going to be. I have tomorrow off. I might do something, or at least plan for next time. And anyway, I think this has been fun. Most of our problems were not building the TUI. Most of our problems were dealing with Unix processes and how they work or don't work, as the case may be. So thank you all for participating and coming to my stream, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.